Me too. I have a big trip coming up in a
Oh,
week, or less than a week, so I better get well.
yeah, your immunity will be real good by then. So I'd like to call the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Committee meeting for November 6th to order.
Great. I'll do roll call. Commissioner Smith,
Present.
Commissioner Anderly,
Here.
Commissioner Roshtu,
Here.
Commissioner Beatty, here. And then Commissioner Garrison is absent and Commissioner Calhoun is absent.
So we need to approve the consent agenda for the last meeting on September 5. Anybody want to make a
No, the minutes.
recommendation?
Thank you.
Anyone?
I think we have to wait and see if there's any comments on them
Oh, okay, comment.
first. Any changes, anything?
Do we have formal minutes since we didn't, or this was for
No, September.
September?
Yeah.
Got-
September
got-
5.
okay,
Yeah,
okay,
the
okay. That's-
October
I'm sorry.
meeting, we
They
didn't
didn't
have a
have a quorum.
quorum,
Yeah.
so we don't have
That was my
minutes from that
misunderstanding.
one.
We didn't take notes or any minutes
From the
for October?
October meeting didn't have a quorum.
Right.
So you don't have official minutes or anything to
Someone
approve.
has a recording.
What?
I said someone has a recording of
Yeah.
We do have the recording. We recorded the presentation
Okay,
from the,
cool.
and that's online, but there's not minutes for that meeting because we did not have quorum.
it. Thank you.
Okay, I'll move to approve the minutes from the September 5th meeting.
Anyone want a second?
Second.
Don't go ahead.
I'm sorry, seconded. I'll second the approval of the minutes.
Thank you.
It's passed.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Now we can move on.
To committee business, committee appointment.
Do you want to come up to here or you can stay there either way? But I'm gonna.
Welcome.
We're working on a mic stand too, so.
No,
Yeah, he's in charge of the dress code.
I like that dress.
Go ahead.
Well, my name is Nicole Andrews. I've been here in Estacada for a little over 2 years. We moved here from Texas. Prior to being a stay-at-home mom, I was a caseworker for CPS. I've worked for Big Brothers, Big Sisters, been a foster parent. So I ended up adopting one of my children from foster care. Her name's Esbella. She's 6. She has Down syndrome. So obviously being a part of this committee would give me a chance to have a voice in things that affect her, that affect my children. This is their first year in public school. We've been homeschooling. So trying to figure out what I can do with myself to get myself out into the community and continue to make a difference because that's what's really important to me. I haven't done any public service as far as like in city hall, city council, but I'm willing to learn, willing to take notes, be criticized, but most importantly, I just want to continue to help make Estacada a special place because we love it here. We just think the people here are amazing. We've been met with nothing but kindness and acceptance, and I want to make sure that other people that are coming in, because it seems like the population is booming, we want to make sure everybody feels included and welcome here.
Sounds great.
Agree.
Awesome.
Sounds great. Mhm.
How old are your other children?
I have a 10-year, I have a stepdaughter who is 30.
Uh-huh.
I have a 10-year-old. I have a 8-year-old. My special needs daughter is 6, and then we have a 3-year-old.
Wow.
So we have a very, very busy home.
So you're in middle school and.
Not quite middle school yet. He's in 5th grade.
Okay, cool.
So 5th, 3rd, 1st, and pre-K. We're working on it. He's got a late birthday.
Yeah.
but we're working on those things.
This is our first year in public school in Estacada too, after a Montessori school, and we love it. So
We do. The staff at Rivermill has been amazing. Last year was our special needs first year kinder, and I was so scared because they were like, oh, she's gonna be in the mainstream classroom because she had did special needs pre-K.
Mhm.
And I was like, I don't think she's ready. I'm so scared. And the staff just really just kind of coalesced around our family and just really helped us. I mean, it's been amazing. So I told my husband, like, I want to send the kids to public school, and they're loving it. You know, we had a little bully problem a few weeks ago, and Mr. Searing just took care of it right away. No issues. And I think it was more just kind of a kid just needing somebody to say, hey, this is not how we need to be a friend.
Yeah.
And I just appreciated that so much.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mhm.
That's awesome. I'm a ex homeschool mom. Have a almost 28-year-old and an almost 21-year-old.
It goes fast. I miss them all day long. Like, I
Yes.
wish they were here, but I'm so glad that they're having fun and enjoying themselves
Yes.
at school.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I guess the only question I'd have is, because it's been an issue for some people to attend meetings, do you see this time frame being an issue for you?
Not at all. It's literally right down the street from my house.
Okay.
So it's not a commute problem. My husband, he gets off at 4, so he's home with the kids. So I kind of get a little break to myself.
Yes.
So
That's
it's
awesome.
something to look forward to, actually.
Good, good, good.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, does anyone want to make a recommendation?
I would love to make a motion to recommend Nicole's addition to the council.
I would
Anna?
like to second that motion.
Good. And we vote. Okay. Let's see. Which direction do
Is
we
that
want to
all
go?
those in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I,
I think you're a member of our committee, Nicole.
You're in for it now. You
Super
just got
official.
it.
Super official.
So excited.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for applying.
Yeah,
It's
glad to have you.
No problem. I actually saw, I think, information about it when we first moved here, and I was like, I don't know if I have the time. And once the kids were in school, I was like, okay, they still have that opening. I'm gonna apply. I'm just gonna put
Yeah.
myself out there.
That's
Yay.
awesome.
Thank you.
We're so glad you did.
Fantastic. Okay, and because we lost our chair vice, and now we have to do a chair vice chair, and so we want to see who wants to serve as chair and vice chair.
I would love to serve as vice chair. If anyone else doesn't want to.
I don't think I'm grown up enough to serve as chair. Are you the adult in the room?
Okay, you need to speak into your.
I'm trying to be more serious at these meetings. I am not the adult in the room, and I probably have the most questionable public facing reputation. So
Right,
I
Steve.
do have some apprehension, mostly, and trying to be totally transparent here, mostly because I don't see myself realistically disengaging with some of the conflict that I find myself in from time to time. And I don't want to be any kind of a negative representation of the effort of this committee. I feel like if I took a chair position, that would be somehow be interpreted as something more than it is.
Yeah,
Um,
understand.
So that's my 2 cents.
City council? No. Aaron?
Aaron's
Aaron, are you
been-
gonna be our
Aaron?
chair again?
Yeah, do you want to be chair again?
I would be happy to support Tammy if she wanted to be chair and I could be
Nicole?
vice chair. Don't do that to her.
This is how we roll. Now you see.
Well,
Uh,
I'm happy to be chair. I just don't, I'm just very new to this, so
Okay.
I would
Yeah,
need,
chair,
I would
So,
need to know
yeah,
kind of.
The duties of the chair are, you will help work with me to set the agenda. Oh, let me, here. You'll help work with me to set the agenda. We usually I email you a couple weeks before the committee and we'll go over the agenda together. And then you'll lead the meeting in the meeting. So, just going over and making sure to call it to order and, call the vote and those kind of things.
Okay, well, I'm willing to do that if someone else will be the chair, vice.
I'm willing to be the vice. I just think that
the point.
right, I think you all understood
I
my
understand what you mean.
point from before.
And I'm happy to support all of you, both of you in those roles if, and just like nudge you with procedural reminders or
Yes,
whatever.
yes, please. Yeah, Aaron has clearly the most tenure, so that would, if you,
Yes.
if you feel okay within sort of humoring us, then.
He's raising you up, lifting you up. Yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, great. So if you guys can make a motion, appointing Tammy as chair and Michael as vice chair, and then vote.
Can that be in one motion?
Yes, it can.
Okay, I'll move to appoint Tammy as the chair and Michael as the vice chair of the committee.
Seconded.
Okay, who says all those in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye.
I,
Fantastic. Motion passes.
Okay, and our survey results. Elena?
Yep. I am just getting down here. So, and I know this was a little confusing for Denise, so I'm going to go over this a little bit just so you understand. This section here where we have all the graphs is automatically created by the Microsoft Office. So you get down here and it has these word clouds. I didn't create this. They created this automatically. The largest words are the most commonly used words.
format mistake.
Yeah,
Okay.
so this is a word cloud. It takes a kind of visual representation of all of these responses. Okay, so we'll go back up to the top. We had 69 responses. There wasn't a whole lot of difference between the most recognized committees and the least recognized committees. We're talking about like 5 people in difference. So, and understandably, like the infrastructure committee was the least recognized committee. It only meets quarterly or on an as needed basis. So I think there's no surprise there.
Yeah.
When we get down to these little word clouds here, how do people receive information about happenings? The most common was Facebook. But then we also heard some things like from the newspaper or in the water bill.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then same thing with here, how they heard about this survey. We hear social media. And then when we got to here, this was fascinating for me when we asked if people would like to receive information about the committees and commissions. And there's 19 responses. The majority of those responses were nothing. Like it was just yes or no, or I don't like committees. There was like a handful of them that actually gave their name
Elena,
and contact. Yes.
would we be able to see the actual responses to understand the word cloud? Because I think like some of those, like we see like the latest response was Zane Cole is in the cloud at
Zane.
iCloud. So that's probably how his name showed up in there, but it doesn't
Yes.
show up exactly as it was entered. So if we could see the actual responses, it might make a little more sense.
I'd like to also point out DEIC stupidity.
Okay.
Yes.
What?
You see some of the comments in the word cloud.
Oh,
So this also, if I can sidebar, Nicole, this committee in particular has been getting a lot of heat from different people because of just sort of it being a, what would you say, catchphrase, you know, I mean, and so we didn't have a quorum last month and we met. And there was a couple individuals who were sort of new additions or not committee members, but participants publicly. And, you know, there's just a lot of people that have a lot of misconceptions about what we're trying to do and how we're trying to get there. So we just want to be, I want to be honest with you that I'm saying though.
Okay. Okay.
I don't feel, I just don't feel like I need. Right. And so, you know, and like we all have our own sort of, you know, backgrounds and everything else, politically, religiously and otherwise. So, you know, there's a lot of people who like to pick sides, and this is one of those things that's kind of a charged topic, right?
Polarizing for some.
Polarizing,
very
you know,
polarizing.
stupidity and tyranny. I don't know how that.
No, and
Right.
and definitely that Nicole will need to get like the whole Cliff's notes of
We'll
our
talk about it.
committee, and you know, to really integrate and get onboarded. All the good stuff.
Is that an official term? Get on boarded?
Uh-huh.
Mhm,
I love it.
It is.
It sounds better than initiated.
It sounds like some masticato lingo is what it sounds like.
The one thing that for me was really positive about this was there were at least 17 people who have been made aware of something that they didn't know of via this survey. So
Okay, can you see the responses now?
yes.
Okay. We can go through, you know, the word cloud, this one here has 57 responses, and you can see that most of them, they're either Facebook.
Oh no,
something
number
related-
14.
Yeah, Facebook, social media, Facebook. So,
What'd the one say about when I lived in town? Go up just a couple of. I think these are interesting.
Like you guys are having a private conversation right now.
I don't
Right
think,
there.
it's not on the screen.
Oh,
oh,
it's just Elena and I that are reading it.
I'm sorry. Okay. No,
Aaron and Elena have a click because their
I know
names start
what-
with E. So
Mhm.
here we go. Sorry.
We were like, what are you talking about?
I joined the Zoom and then didn't put it on the, sorry, here we go. Now everyone can
Yeah.
see.
Okay, I thought 28 was interesting, that used to work in town and was more informed then. So
Mhm.
Mm.
I love these ones that are like my next door neighbor or word of mouth, because that shows that we have a really connected community, that people are talking to each other.
Is that in the thing that you emailed us, our
It,
packet?
it is not in the thing that I emailed you. This is, you know, there's 57 responses here. It would have taken up several pages.
Mhm.
So if you want me to email separately, I could download them all and format them in an Excel spreadsheet and send them out to you.
Oh, no, you don't need to do that. No.
I would like it. Okay.
also, were all the respondees anonymous? Is that just how it was formatted?
We didn't require people to log in to respond.
Oh,
So they're
cool.
all gonna say anonymous.
Got you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, and so that's one of the questions that has a word cloud. And then we go back to this one. It's pretty similar. Look at, somebody calls you out, Aaron.
mhm.
Name drop.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But I
Yeah.
was probably also the random Karen from a Facebook group on the first response.
Huh.
Yeah, and some of these responses are completely unrelated, like this one that says, you lack foresight to put in infrastructure before the housing developments.
Hmm.
I don't know that that's related to the survey at all. or what you were asking.
Right.
I think we have to, if we were to do one of these surveys again, oh, look, there I am again. If we were to do one of these again, I think it would be important to put your answers are totally separated. And so putting same as above, somebody put that because I'm sure they had a similar answer to the second question as they did the first, but that makes no sense once we disaggregate.
They don't
Is that
know
what
they're
it's called?
anonymous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
we can't tell, which I think that also let some confusion when we get to this last one here where it says more details, and there are people who just put yes, and then they didn't put their email or their phone number or anything. So I have no way of knowing who said yes.
Right.
If you're gonna do this for Heidi,
Mhm.
I'd like that. I'd like a copy
Yeah,
too.
I can download it and send it out to everybody.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Oh, somebody left their email address.
Old Zane.
Yeah, there's a few.
He's a friend of mine.
Yeah. And here we are with the responses about where people live.
Oh, interesting. Some are outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
May I ask where 055 is?
Sandy.
Oh, okay. Interesting. It is interesting how much of the like mountain, rhododendron, sandy, Estacada, Malala, Colton is all just intermingled. Everyone's just all
yeah.
up in each other's.
They go to other schools, like there's people in
Processes.
Estacada, their kids go to school in Sandy and
Right.
vice versa.
I mean, yeah, we're open enrollment, so we could go to, you know,
Yeah.
Clackamas or Sandy or all over the place.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, the fish hatchery. That's cool.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. So are we done going through that? Do you guys have any more feedback, questions, comments?
Is there anything we intend to do with this information? Like that's, I think the next step is sort of figuring out how this informs our work.
Should we set up a Facebook page for our committee? Because I'm seeing most of these answers are, they got their information from Facebook. We could be more transparent there about explaining what we're about. More people have access to it. What do y'all think?
I don't think we can.
You can, but so if you set up a Facebook page for the DEI committee, you have to produce content for it. So with all the other committees where they have Facebook pages, any of the content that goes on the page is provided from the committee members. So you have to realize that if you're going to commit to doing that, you also have to commit to providing the content.
You mean like super hot memes?
It needs to be appropriate content. We have a communications guidelines that was,
Yeah, I'm not sure. Based on Aaron's response, I think that might be a little dicey.
Okay.
you guys can always, if you have information to share, just like this survey, you can share it through the city's Facebook page, which is what we've done for this committee in the past.
We should probably share a thing about this survey, right? About the results we collected and
Yes.
and really it can help us reinforce that whole idea of doing the survey was to increase awareness and understanding of city goings-ons and how people can participate. And so I think we can really celebrate the fact that we know there are at least 17 people who have new understanding. You know, it seems like a small number, so maybe we don't call it out, but I think we should be sharing what the results of our survey said in a nice.
I agree too. I agree with that totally, because that would also, like, some people are like, well, what are they doing? What are you doing? That would be like, this is the work we're doing. This is what we're doing. You know?
Yeah.
I agree. How do we do that?
Yeah, just a summary. You mean like a
Yeah.
2-paragraph summary of sort of the information and what it says about what we learned from the survey.
Is there an overarching pie graph or some sort of visual that we could pull?
We're
That
gonna
maybe,
use data analyst for this.
They did the survey on the city site, right? Mainly.
We, on the city's website?
Well, the link was all over the place, wasn't it?
Yeah, so the survey went through a Microsoft Office form, so like a Google form. And so we did it through that.
Does the city have a Facebook page?
Yes.
Well, then could we post our whatever we're gonna,
Yeah. Yeah.
condense? We could just have a post, this is what came out of the surveys.
Yeah.
For the DEI.
Yeah.
And people love the visuals, so maybe if we had a couple
Yeah.
sort of,
Pie chart.
right, grabbed a couple of those that were maybe just where the participants lived, you know what I mean? So that, I mean, I think that that's another thing too, is people always want to have that, the rural folks always want to have a seat at the table.
Yeah.
So,
Inclusion is in the name.
right.
so should it be one post, or do we want to break it up into several to drum up more? I don't know what the city's, how clogged the city's
Right.
Facebook page is right now, but I know the more times people engage,
Mhm.
the more visible the content is to them. So I don't know if there's any reason why we would want to
Yeah.
break
you
it
can-
into
you
more than
can-
one.
Is there somebody obviously that specifically handles that with
Me.
city staff? You? So what's the least annoying thing for you to manage?
It makes no difference. If somebody else can create the content and send it to me, whether it's one post or it's 20 posts, I'll sit down and schedule them all out.
Okay,
So it really doesn't take me significant more time to do one post or multiple posts.
Okay.
I don't have time to create the content though.
Gotcha.
So if you guys wanted to take the information that I sent you and do little screenshots of the graphs in there and then write up a little blurb and then send it to me, I can schedule it all at once.
okay. In that case, may I also be included in your email summary of
Yeah.
that info?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So do we need to decide today who's going to do that? Or are we going to do that next meeting? Who's going to do the submission to our wise leader?
I am not your leader.
I don't have time to do that.
I mean, I can poke around, and I think that we should take kind of a basic approach to it. And just like you're saying, do little snippets. I mean, everyone's attention spans are sort of in question at this point. So rather than giving somebody, you know, a scrolling several pages to go through, we think we could just be like, this is how many people participated in the survey.
Yeah.
Elena,
And then,
are you,
know, a couple days later, we drop something else.
Elena,
Yeah.
are you, is it easy for you to find like catchy graphics, or is that also a pain? Just for if it was like something that was like, you
She's got
know,
a
results
program
are
for that.
in type of thing.
Based on the word bubble.
What?
As you got a program for that based on the word bubble.
When I create the Facebook post for the city, I just use Canva. Yeah.
Okay, because I think, I mean, it's sort of like that's just to get people's attention. It's like results are in here, the survey, what the survey was called, how many people responded over how much time, and then just the simple basics. And then it can be a call out and a reminder to people to engage again.
Yeah, maybe even we can sort of do like a thank you. You know,
Yeah.
like a public facing, like, thanks for participating. This is how many people responded to the survey, and try and get in good graces, so to speak.
Yeah.
Transparency.
We can post the results as was included in your packet on your guys's city page too. So you can always, you know, if people want to read more into it, they can go to the city's page
Right.
and
That's a great idea.
Right. Okay. So we sort of decided Michael's going to take that on and work directly with Elena.
sounds like a plan.
Okay. Michael is making a note, I can tell. All right. So the next item on our agenda is one page. And that's in our documents that are
Yes.
sent.
Yep, and Aaron started on this, and I tried to fix the formatting. It's still a little bit off, but you
Close.
can see your little icons. We just have to move a text box. So, and the only thing that I did is I took your goals from your goals and added them here onto it, because that was blank.
Yeah, I think that makes makes sense as a good back page addendum. If we can fit everything else on the
How
first.
easy is it for you to switch this around a little bit?
I can switch it, like the goals in their numbers or
Yeah,
the coloring or.
Yeah, because it goes 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah,
Oh, I see.
yeah, I see.
Yeah.
Easy peasy. That's
Yeah.
easy for me to go in and
Okay.
like 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1,
Change the
2,
numbers.
3. Yeah, I see the numbering is very odd there.
Mhm.
It's just 2 and 3 that are weird.
Mhm. So does everyone like how it is? Are we changing anything? Are we adding anything?
Yeah, I will fix this little, so participated in transportation system plan. That'll move up here. So then the back page will just be the 2023-24 goals. And then if you guys wanted to update any of this language. Yeah.
And are you moving under scope the second?
Yeah, that paragraph
to
needs to
come
move over.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Just to be a stickler, with the lack of a quorum last month, did we actually participate in?
Yes, because it wasn't a
The TSP
one-time.
That was your 4th TSP meeting.
Oh,
Yes,
gotcha.
yeah.
I knew that.
Oh, and participated is missing an I. In both boxes, the housing needs one and that one. Because it's one of those ones that probably doesn't give you a spell check error because it's in a different program.
Yeah,
That's why we keep you around, Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Both participated, right?
yep.
Mhm.
No, I think it looks good though.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's a good starting place. And I think we'll have to keep kind of a running list of those different projects. Because like now, like the survey, I think I don't know, that's something that we'll want to make sure we keep in our back pocket for sharing with people stuff when we say what we've done.
So this will go on our website.
So the original discussion on having the one page is you had planned on taking the community groups list and kind of doing a DEI roadshow. Taking this one page out, talking to some of these community groups and getting their input on the things that are important to them and bringing that back to council.
We don't really have a budget for like handout leaflets. Like
You have $1,200.
I'm trying to remember what other people's committees, I feel like it was like $4,000 or something to do. The downtown commission did like a door hanger and that was like
Mhm.
$4,000. Does that
Mhm.
seem?
Wow. That's a lot.
It's kind of what I was thinking, but maybe it's awesome.
That included the design and the printing and then
And
handing it out.
Die cutting and probably
Yeah.
printed on a very
Distribution too.
special material for weather.
I don't think you guys have the budget to do a door hanger, but if you
Well,
wanted
we
to
could
do it.
literally just come down and Xerox these and then bring them out when we go. So I'm trying to attend a student council meeting with my oldest on Thursday at the middle school.
Mhm.
He is a lot like me, and he's trying to spearhead a couple issues. And I was like, maybe I'll just come listen because that sounds like what the grown-ups talk about. And I would love to have something like that, just a couple maybe to bring in. I'm not sure exactly who I'm gonna interface with
Mhm.
as far as faculty is concerned, but that would be a great
So.
something tangible.
Yeah, the only thing I would suggest if we're gonna be handing these out and not like having the kind of, conversations is to put contact information on the back. So you guys do have an official DEIC email set up so that people can email the committee.
Should it also, oh, go ahead, Denise,
I'm
sorry.
so sorry. Do we need to set that up, or are you saying we already have?
You
that?
already have it set up, and I think that
never
Aaron
knew that.
has access to it, but I will double check to see. And since Tammy's the chair, they'll set up access for the chair. Typically, the chair is the person who accesses the committee inbox.
Have we been accessing it?
No, I
many
don't know
email-
anything about it.
Yeah. 'cause then
Okay.
I gotta click in and find
This is not
475 emails.
this is not the first committee that has been like, oh, we have an email. So
So we probably
I-
should check it.
I will sit down, Tammy and you and I can sit down with the IT department and we can go over and make sure that we can all access the email and have it set up. So you can get it like on your phone or wherever you regularly receive your emails.
Okay. Thank
What,
you.
what do you all think about the importance of branding this with the city of Estacada information also? Because right now there's, other than reading within some of the text that says Estacada, there's really nothing on here right now that's branding it. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. And
The top logo,
Yeah,
you may want to incorporate the city of Estacada logo.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
I think
At
so
least.
too.
That's easy peasy.
because there are a lot of those committees around. It could be they wanted the school, wanted.
Well, and it definitely takes it gives us a house, an umbrella to live under.
Yeah,
and ages, yeah.
Within people's like, if it's related to the city, then I can complain about it, or it's more official, or you know what I mean?
and the design on there right now was just a Canva design too. So it could totally be replaced with, sitting on a banner that has the Estacada official logo on it instead.
Yeah, I'd like that. I think that would be, something would jump out at them. Oh yeah, this is the city's, yeah.
I mean, yeah, the city logo would be great to just incorporate up top, and hasn't the website been completely rebuilt just recently?
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, we just redid the website.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it should have our direct link to our web page or
Mhm.
our committee page
Yep.
and our email. Yeah.
Something else I think that, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but I think it would be really nice to have on this one page. And maybe you guys already said this, maybe I missed it. I think all the members' names should be on here. Because there's no reason for us to hide. We're part of the committee. We want people's input.
It
If,
does change though, and then you have to update it every time it changes.
well, but we're not gonna be, are we gonna be printing like 1,000 of them? I mean,
Yeah, it wouldn't be hard to go in and change that if you're only printing like a handful at a time. If you're not doing something like putting it in the newspaper or whatever.
Right, I mean, I think this is sort of a business card extension essentially for when we have a face-to-face, we're interfacing with the groups and people.
yeah.
But it does give the opportunity for outdated materials to be out there. Like where I work, it's like, it's always easier to update like a web page and have that information be live and to do less specifics in things that you are handing to people, because those will exist and be around for a long time, and then they'll have the
You could
wrong.
Put a link to current members and that way.
Yeah, so this is your page on our website right now. Can you see that, Erin? Okay,
Yes. now
okay,
I can.
now you can.
Wow, look at that
Um,
graphic. That was fancy.
It changes every time, so don't expect that there
Okay,
every time.
okay.
it's like cycles through like 6 or 7 different ones. But then it does have all of the committee members, and I'll need to update this.
Also, just give a link to that.
Yeah, so they're all listed here, and then the email is here too. So for people who want to email, and then you have your charter, your equity lens, the application, et cetera, that are all here too.
Yeah, I think that if there, can we QR code that page?
Yeah,
like,
Yes.
on the
totally.
bottom? And then if anybody wants to like really get into it, they just point and shoot.
Mhm.
So technology
You mean on the one page?
if the one page had a little QR code in the bottom of
Yes.
it, if somebody was like, find us at, or contact us at, or more information, or,
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Well, and then you're getting traction on the newly rebuilt city website, which is lovely.
right. Yeah. QR codes are awesome. We use those a lot at our church. Yeah.
Okie dokie.
All right. All right, so we're done with that one. Let's move
Yep.
on to the joint CCDEIC workshop, and that's Elena.
So, as a result of the meeting where we didn't have a quorum, there was some discussion with one of the new counselors who was like, I don't even know what this committee does. And so it was, discussion on what this committee does and what their purpose is. And it led to some discussion and confusion on what this committee's, because the way the code reads is very technical language in some places. And so I just want you guys to consider the code is your purpose. It is what the city council charges you with to do. And so is this information clear? Is it understandable? Do you feel that this fits with what you guys are actually doing?
And this is also separate from the mission statement.
Yes, this is separate from the mission statement. The code is what the council has codified as your purpose and your responsibilities.
Mhm.
So is that at the most recent city council meeting?
That they put this code in?
No.
Oh.
that Those comments were,
No, it
made?
was just kind of an aside, he wanted to learn more about the TSP, came to the last meeting and he seemed a little, hey, what's going on here? It wasn't at an official meeting. It was more like a discussion with staff and, hey, let's get this on a
And
future
there were
agenda.
3 counselors there and the 3 of us decided that it might be best to do a workshop between the council and DEIC.
Mhm.
Just make sure we're all on the same page.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
fun.
So
would
there's
be
some
great.
like trigger words in the code that you might want to change the language.
Do we have the authority to change the language of the code
You-
as the committee?
You have the authority to suggest language to the
Thank you.
council, and the
Thank you.
council will be the ones with the authority to change. This code is not related to like land use or anything, so it doesn't have to have a public hearing. It would just be on a regular city council agenda. We're looking at January to have a joint meeting between council and the DEIC, depending on how the hearing process goes for the TSP, whether we have to have another hearing for that in January, which might push this out to February. So
That sounds good.
Just asking the questions.
Yeah.
Based on A through F, does it seem like the committee has already been overlooked by the city in several occasions? Is there any way that we can request to be involved a little bit more actively? I'm thinking about the Red Fox
Yes.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The TSP is obviously an example of that. Can we, is there a way we can represent ourselves a little bit more adequately when it comes to city business, or just being, if this is the job description, then can we be more assertive about our role? When the city gets down to talking about how it's gonna do things, or, you know, making decisions on things.
You
It-
mean more of
We
a
have to
voice?
we have to self-advocate for that. Well, yeah, like I'm saying, when it came to I mean,
The camping ordinance, that would have been something perfect for this committee to be involved in.
right,
I was
And it-
there.
And it, but not in a capacity
right,
for
in
the.
in an official
committee.
capacity.
But so stuff like that, they love to be more included on.
But is that something that we have to self-advocate for? And it's not just sort of like,
Yeah, some of
You
some
know.
of it is, you know, advocating for yourself. Some of it is like internal processes. So
Mhm.
like when we're talking about the recent, when you're talking about the apartment that
Mhm.
came before, that there's no process to bring that before the DEI committee because it's not that kind of decision. I mean,
Okay.
that was a design decision. It would have been gone before like architectural committee or something like that because the decision for that was not based on anything that would have fallen under your purview. It would have been, you know, because it was looking at like levels of transparency, types of siding, and those kind of things aren't necessarily falling under your purview.
right, it wasn't are we gonna do it or not?
Yes.
Who's gonna be impacted?
Nope.
All that had already been established.
That is established by the code. So, you know, when land use applications come before the city only has the ability to say yes or no based on what is in the development code.
Mhm.
And if the development code does not have any of those criteria, and they have to be clear and objective standards. So you can't just say, you know, we're afraid this is gonna, you know, increase crime or is that a clear and objective standard based on what the design is, what the layout is? You have to have clear and objective standards that are specifically mentioned in the code. And that's the only way that you can deny or approve a land use application.
Gotcha. Okay, I mean, there's a lot of layers to this. Obviously, as you being the liaison with us, I feel like would you just keep us sort of up to date with,
BCCS?
Yeah, I don't see everything that goes on the council agenda because I don't attend every council meeting.
So
Are those agendas listed publicly?
They are, yes.
Yes, they're not necessarily in enough time for you to be necessarily involved in a huge way, but it'll let you know what is happening.
So in order for it to come before you, before it comes before the council, we're talking that we're gonna have to push things out like 2 months.
Okay.
So like this upcoming committee, we're having and I wouldn't expect this to come before you, but we're having a contract with the wastewater engineers. Now, if we had to bring that kind of information to you first, that would push the contract out
right.
another month before then it could come before council.
well, and I'm sorry, but all of this whole discussion can probably take place in January with the city council
Yeah.
when we have
Mhm, mhm.
this whole opportunity to say that, you know, don't forget us, like we're trying to at least help sort of steer the intent, maybe.
And I think like when we talk about the camping ordinance, if we would have done what we did, what in September is when we went through the legislative priorities, that would have brought it before you. These are things that are going to be on future council agendas. Like one thing that will be on a future council agenda is there's a current ban on psilocybin within the city for 2 years. And so we need to develop code either to address that or put it back on the ballot for a ban. And so that could be something that we know is going to be on a future council agenda. Is that something that you guys think is within things that you want to discuss and make recommendations?
And for my own curiosity, was that on the 2020 ballot or the 22?
The
The
psilocybin?
psilocybin ban, the 22?
Yes, 22.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, I think it was 22 because we discussed it in January of this year that we need to work on developing language for an ordinance.
Mhm.
similar, like we have language for allowing marijuana dispensaries and businesses within the city. So, figuring out where it's allowed, where it's not allowed, what the requirements are for allowing it, those kind of things.
So when the city gets an application, don't mean to talk over you.
No,
Are you done?
Yeah.
When the city gets an application, I don't understand why it takes so long to get to them and us. I mean, as committees, like if there's, for instance, I had no idea about these apartments until a friend of mine said, hey, city council, they're talking about it. It's already going to happen, that kind of thing. And I'm like, what?
So for land use applications, there's a very prescribed timeline in which these decisions have to be made. And it would go first before the planning commission, generally, not these apartments. This is the apartments themselves are an outright permitted use in the zone. So we cannot deny the apartments. We can deny the design of the apartments based on the code, but we cannot deny the apartments if they come
Right.
back and they have a design that fits the code, because it is an outright permitted use in the code. We can't deny it.
Mhm.
So the only land use applications that are going to come before the planning commission and then the city council are going to be ones that have that public hearing requirements. And there's a very prescribed timeline, and I am not one of the planners, so I can't tell you exactly the timeline, but I know that they have a certain number of days that they have to get back to the applicant to say yay or nay. So it has to go before planning commission, and then it has to go before city council within whatever that timeline is that is prescribed by the state.
Well, and if it checks all the boxes with code, then it's not even really a.
Yes,
yes
like
or-
the apartment buildings that are going up near the library, those were outright permitted use. All they had to do was apply for a building permit.
Right,
Like,
but
it's like opening a store or something. You can open a store on your own land without going through the city if it's in the.
right. And I have no problem with well, it doesn't matter if I do, but I realize that's going to happen. So, but there was, and when I watched the city council meeting, I heard them talking about, there were people saying, well, what about the elderly people that need apartments on the first floor? Well, they didn't like that because they wanted more windows on the first floor and they didn't think that would be working for an apartment. And, and I was listening to all this stuff and I was thinking that has DEI all over it for us standing up for those elderly people that need first floor apartments, right?
Well, So if you all wanted to make that a concern of the committee, what you're talking about is not talking about reviewing individual applications. What you're talking about is reviewing the code, because they're making decisions not based on the individual application. They're not saying yay or nay based on the application. They're saying yay or nay based on the code. So if you want to say, hey, it is in our priorities to look at accessibility standards for, multifamily residential. And we want to look at the code to make sure that it meets all these accessibility standards for multifamily residential. That would be where you would do.
Okay, so.
And you can do that. We can say, hey, this is something that we want to look at. We want to put on a future agenda to look at. Anytime you get anything within the development code, it's going to take several months to change.
Yeah.
So the process for changing the development code is the council of the planning commission would say, hey, we want to change the code. And then if you guys wanted to be part of the people providing input on that code, so that then you would have staff or consultants that will write the code. We have to submit it to DLCD. DLCD has to be noticed. I believe it's 45 days prior to the first public hearing. The public hearing has to happen at the planning commission. And if they say yay or nay, if they say yay, then the public hearing would also then go to the council. If the planning commission says nay, then it goes back, and then we have to notice it again, depending on the amount of changes. And we're talking 4 to 6 month process.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna make a dent,
Right.
we're gonna have to start
Can
looking
you-
at some of this stuff.
Repeat wordage of how that specific topic, accessibility standards for,
For multifamily residential.
All you have to do is make sure they're ADA compliant.
Well,
I think that what Tammy's talking about is like prioritizing elderly people's access based on their accessibility with ground level units that have, you know, maybe it's the windows or it's the size of the doors or it's the, I mean, all of that. There's already code for all that anyways, but maybe we try and push those codes out so that I mean, but you can't prioritize inhabitants when it comes to like a rental property. There's no, like,
You can't make any decision on housing based on who will be living
Right,
in that housing.
right.
So you can make code changes for all housing. So if you want to say, we want to prioritize accessibility standards in multifamily residential, you could say, you know, all multifamily residential above 3 stories is going to be required to have an elevator.
Does the
right.
planning committee research what impact that would make upon our community if we change the code in those ways?
So that's kind of what we did when we went through the housing strategies, is when we looked at the housing strategies, we did the housing needs analysis. They looked at the kind of housing that was needed within the city. And then they suggested strategies, and those strategies were suggested based on the needs and the impact of the housing. So like, we need more middle housing. We need more middle housing that fits that kind of space between living with your parents and then being able to afford your own house. Or the kind of housing that fits within middle housing is also, you know, you want to retire and downsize. And so they looked at those, and when they looked at that and suggested the housing strategies, we had DEI involved in that process, and then they took it before the council.
Thank you.
Thank you for explaining all
Yeah.
of this. It's very complicated and you're doing a very good job.
Elena, can you take the screen share off so I can see all of you? Thank you.
Sorry about that.
I was just thinking that coming back a little bit from this very specific issue, that we have work to do around helping the council see how we can assist them, and not how we're just like this auxiliary group that has its own issues, but how do we show them our value to them? And I think we might go through some of these past issues and look at how our involvement may have aided the work or prevented maybe some of the misplaced emotions about some of the issues. Like, if we had been involved, could we have impacted some of those meetings in some way? But I just think we need to work with the council so that they can see how we can be helpful and useful to them and not just an afterthought.
Yeah, that's what we're supposed to do, right?
Yeah, because, yeah, I agree.
I agree. And as the only man in the room, I'm just gonna say that I get a real sense of
That we're a bunch of women.
well, I think that I really see the value in what you're saying. We have to be very tactful about how we approach that point. Because I do feel that with the council, there is a sort of masculine domineering kind of attitude that is prevailing. So I don't think that it's exactly the group that you want to tell them why they're wrong. But I do, again, see the value in saying there is a very impactful way of saying that, but we just have to be very graceful about that.
Yep.
Although I will say that when we had that explosive meeting in September, was it, or end of August? I don't remember, about houselessness and the camping ordinance. I remember our mayor, who is very much a man, saying, we need your help. And he, I think, pointed to all of them. because we have a lot of things coming down the pike and we need your help. And when I spoke, I just felt blindsided because I'm on DEI. I never heard about the camping ordinance. So I just think she has a very good point. Somehow it needs to come across as, and we could even cite what he said back in August or September. Okay, you told us that you needed our help. We're part of the city, we're part of the DEI, and we want to help, but we don't know how to integrate with you into making an impact.
As a representative of this community.
As a representative of this community. Or
Well,
community,
yeah,
right?
essentially, we're trying to do our job, right? So
Right.
let
There
us,
you
let us help, let us do our job.
Right.
And again, I think this also falls within the whole shadow of the stigma of the title of the committee, and
Yes.
how much polarization and just sensationalism there is around it. So this is going to involve more tact than maybe other committees have to put forward.
Are there could we change the name
Yes,
We talked about it.
yes,
to make it not so polarizing?
yes.
The Estacada is Awesome Committee. Let's Be Awesome Committee.
Yeah.
Um,
I
You
was
can
thinking the
change.
ice cream and warm puppies committee, but
As
I-
opposed
I
to
could
cold
use-
puppies.
yes,
Yeah.
please. Better together. You're hired.
What is our city's, isn't something
Unexpected, untamed,
Untamed,
and unforgettable.
better
It's
together?
behind you on the wall.
untamed out of it.
I
It
mean,
kind of goes
that
together.
that really is super marketable. As far as, especially as a subtext of the city slogan, is that what you would call it?
So I feel like when you think of DEI, you think of wokeness, which is another buzzword that is in our world right now. And I don't feel that this committee is woke. So,
As opposed to asleep?
well, I just think,
I think we should try and get away from using words that are very either
Yeah.
technical
Yeah.
or have these connotations. I think you should look at the
Politicized.
code and think
Right.
about what are the actions that you are performing within the committee and what is your goals?
right,
For everyone.
I mean, to piggyback on Nicole's suggestion, the one thing that everybody can agree on, fortunately or not, is that when natural disaster strikes or struck, that was like the most bonded the community was in a while that I can remember. And it's unfortunate that it takes that level of chaos to make people, not think about their differences, but the impact of that, the better together idea is really undeniable. And I think that again, we have to figure out a way of a sort of homogeneously branding ourselves to not elicit these responses or these knee-jerk reactions based on the kind of media that someone's digesting or things that they hear in politicized conversations, just so that we can kind of get past the buzz and do the work.
I have a name. Hold on. Ready? I've been holding on to this. It's Besticada.
very
Hey,
good, Aaron.
Yo, if you go back and look on Instagram, I coined that like 7 years ago.
No way. Well, and for the school
Hashtag.
bond, I kept trying to tell him to call it Yes-ticada.
Ooh, we tried to get the Summerfest as Festicada. Right.
I love
and
it. We could
you
just,
can
that could
go,
be our thing.
also the downtown commission is doing Questicada. It's pretty much limitless. Can we, can I ask a couple questions of you guys? Do you have any issues with me talking to the middle school student council about, it's pretty much my son has been really disappointed with the lack of follow through on part of the administrators when it comes to slur language being used towards students and bullying and stuff like that. And I think it's relevant, especially with the situation from 3 weeks ago at the high school. So is it cool if I kind of try and, I mean, we've been talking about starting a youth council. I think it's literally unfolding in front of us. Like my son came home after his second week in a new school and he was like, I got elected to student council. And I'm like, what? So he's there, he's got, you know, his seat at the table essentially. I think that it would be a good opportunity to show up as not just a parent, but a representative of the city and say like, I would like to see not necessarily consequences for this kind of behavior directed at other students, but maybe at our old school, we practiced restorative justice. And I think that that's maybe something that we could at least talk about, you know, because I think that a lot of kids that are exposed to bullying, bigotry, and all this other BS, it's not their choice. I think it's sort of a reaction or sort of a, you know, there's something deeper when it comes to kids' behavior like that. So I just wanted maybe your blessing or something.
Well, we're supposed to also be, I mean, they're in our community. We represent everyone. So they're, yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
Well, and I think that it would be a good opportunity to sort of plant the seed of like, we would love to see a youth council. That's an extension of DEI. And then you have this whole, you know, like we're planting roots for essentially representation within the city, starting with the youth population, the student population.
Hey, Mike, after the meeting, can you share with me the details of when that will be?
Yeah, I think it's on Thursday, but yeah, you want to, if you're feeling better, like show up or whatever. Yes, I'll do that for sure. I would love it.
Some type of education in our schools around diversity and inclusion, and just something to give these kids something to latch onto. I'm sorry. That way. Because obviously some of these kids are not getting exposed to other people, other religions, other people's way of life at home. And the world is getting bigger. There's more of that. We're not as isolated and homogenous as we used to be. And as somebody who's like 0.04 of the population here, it would be nice if my son didn't have to feel like he has to explain everything about our way of doing things and that he felt included in the schools. One of his friends asked him, is that a shower cap on your head? And he's like, no, it's a do-rag, you know, but obviously he wouldn't know that. It wasn't offensive. It was just, we need more education on other people so that people don't have to feel as afraid or scared to ask questions.
Right.
Because I'm sure that took a lot of courage for that friend to even ask him that.
Right. No, I mean, I couldn't agree more. In fact, my initial want to do this was like, when I come down to city council meetings, you would show up and it's like the same 25 people and everyone's, you know, griping about this and that. And you get a different sense of who Estacada is when you come down to the city council meetings. But then I went on my first field trip with the 4th grade class and I was like, look at Estacada, like this is it, you know. I was seeing other parents, I was seeing the student body, and I was like, yes, like this is Estacada. It is the kids, you know what I'm saying? The kids that are coming up, that are going to grow up here, that are going to go out, that are going to represent the community, they're going to be the future of the community. So that sort of shifted my perspective. So yes, absolutely across the board.
Yep.
And it really is about, you know, I'm sorry, I'm going to go on a small tangent, but you hear these questions about like, why are there so many more LGBTQ people nowadays? And I'm like, because there's
You
language
can
now.
hear them.
There's representation now. You don't have to live in fear anymore. You have something to identify with. You have a community to identify with. It's not that there's more or less of that population within the greater community. It's that now they have a seat at the table and they can be seen. So providing the language, providing the tools, the representation, just creating the community where you're like, you want to ask me a question about my tattoos, or you know what I mean, like whatever it is. I think that's vital.
And I can tell you with certainty that will absolutely help them with their job prospects. Because I
Right.
talk to the business leaders in this community all the time, and they're getting kids that know calculus, but no soft skills. They can't de-escalate an argument. They don't know how to communicate with their coworkers. They don't know how to do a job interview, so that a workshop on diversity, soft skills, stuff like that will not just benefit them in the school environment, that will benefit them for the rest of their life.
And there's just no telling on that impact when they go home, the things that they'll share with their parents and the mindsets that can
And their
change.
siblings.
And their siblings. I'm a firm believer in education, exposure. It's so important. My kids learn about everybody's culture. We celebrate every Heritage Month because it's important for them to understand how to interact and love everybody for who they are and not expect them to assimilate to us.
Mhm.
But that everybody can be included, and everybody can be loved. I mean, that's again, as cheesy as it sounds, like this is about making this community more loving. And I think that it's a word that has all of these different attachments to it, but when it comes down to it, everybody needs more love. Everybody needs to be more loving, and that's
And more accepting, because realistically, there are going to be some people who never get over certain hurdles,
right.
but they can be taught that I can still work with this person. I can still go to work with them every day. I can still have this person as a customer and give them good customer service just because I don't agree with things that they are. I'm trying to say that awkwardly, but you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's all part of soft skills. It's learning to be alongside someone that you might not like, and it's still part of your community.
Once you gain that familiarity, then you start to love things about people. And once the love connection is made and you start to respect people for who they are, not what they look like, where they're from, what they believe in, who their parents are, blah, 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 then the bond is created. And that was what creates community. So, and that's the whole objective here. That's what everybody talks about within the city, the staff, the council, is this interconnectedness and this value of our community as a whole. So that's
It's
how we
not
get
just when
there.
there's a fire.
And not just when there's a fire. I will stop talking.
So should we, so we need to add to our agenda next month, the renaming of this committee. And to talk more about the joint, I think we need to go over next meeting piece by piece. Maybe by next meeting, maybe all of us can look over that sheet that Elena sent us on the
What'll be emailed
city
to us?
council. It was,
The code.
yeah,
Mhm.
the code, yeah. If we look at all those points and decide how we would, maybe each of us, how we would rephrase any of those. My husband always I probably shouldn't tell his secrets, but he uses Chat GPT, and he tells Chat GPT to phrase something in an 8th grade level, because it's just a fact that if we can explain things simple, everybody, it's inclusive to everybody. So anyway, let's see. Do we have any public comments? Okay, then I think we're on committee send-off comments. Erin, you want to start? And then we'll go Michael and Denise.
I will just start by, I guess, saying like, Nicole, welcome. We are so happy to have you here and get to know you better. And my kids go to River Mill. Well, one does now, one's at middle school, but so I may see you at school events. Good discussions tonight. Elena, thank you for the survey data and getting that to us and keeping us focused and productive.
I'll second that.
Michael?
I've said enough. Welcome, Nicole. Thank you for participating.
Welcome to, I'm glad you're here. Thank you for the time that you're going to take in these committee meetings. Thank you.
Welcome, Nicole. We are anxious to work with you in the committee. And thank you, Elena, for all you did today. And thank you, committee, for your lively discussion. Appreciate that. So I guess if we are done, oh, Heidi, you need an opportunity to talk to, sorry.
Well, Nicole, I really look forward to approving the recommendation at council. Other than that, thank you, everybody.
Bang the gavel.
And thank you, Heidi, for being here. And I will close today's meeting.
That'd be a great reversal.